But today, I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pay stub, or you'll pay up. Don't make love to the game, bruh, fuck the game up. Change up, rearrange stuff to your greatness. Same us for the way up, play the game, bruh.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'll never stop it.
I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top,
I'm always flirting with pain, she like to hurt me and maim. I'm always working to change, but she's still lurking the same. I keep on building this dynasty while the haters be trying me, but they hate from inside.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Unscripted here on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. First off, I want to say we hope all of you enjoyed your Thanksgiving over the past week. I know I did have a lot of food. And we're back in action, though, talking about a very, very fun week up ahead in college football. A lot of bowl games being played. We can't get to all of them, but we're going to highlight some of the big ones. Of course, joining me, as always, Jay McLovin. Jay, how are you, and how was your Thanksgiving?
Hey, I'm doing well, Logan. Honestly, I'm still eating. I don't know about you, man, but I'm still eating leftovers, man.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I will tell you, when I tell you Melanie could cook, that girl could cook. She cooks so well. I thought she put her whole foot in there, Logan. Like, literally, her whole foot was in the dressing. I kid you not.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your meal, Jay. And always, Dustin. What's going on, Dustin? Did you enjoy your Thanksgiving as well?
I did. I don't have any leftovers anymore. I ate all those the last 2 days.
All right, good. Glad to hear. Glad to hear. All right, well, guys, let's get right into it. Without further ado, we got a lot of games on the slate. First up, Dustin, you want to talk about this one, so we threw it in here for you, and I know you got a lot to say about this one, so I'll let you kick things off. All right, North Dakota State University and Montana State. Tell the fans at home what they can expect with this upcoming matchup.
So when it comes to the FCS playoffs, these are two of the most storied programs in the FCS. You have North Dakota State, who has 9 FCS championships, including 7 in a row at one point. So they're kind of like the Alabama of the FCS, versus Montana State is kind of one of those newer teams that has started to get their program back on track, and they tend to compete for the FCS championship every year. What makes this game intriguing was not only was this the first time in 15 years that North Dakota State did not have a top 8 seed, but it's the first time in 10 years that they did not have a top 4 overall seed, meaning they will be on the road the rest of the way. And if you want to talk about a team that has a chip on their shoulder, look what North Dakota State did to Drake last Saturday when they took Drake out back and beat him like a runaway child 66-3. That was a message that they sent to the FCS that we had a down year this year, but there is not 8 teams better than this North Dakota State program that are remaining in this field. And the fact that they have to go to Montana State, who earned the number 6 seed, I feel absolutely horrible for Montana State, because they are a great team that's worthy of making the FCS championship, but I just don't think they can stop Montana or North Dakota State right now. NDSU is on a mission. They're not going to win this game 66-3, but I think they handle business 42-21, and they're a team that nobody's going to want to see the rest of the way through.
All right. Jay, do you have a similar result, or who do you think is going to get the win?
Yeah, a couple of things. Excuse me. You have unseeded NDSU going up against 8-3 Montana State. Am I right on that, Dustin?
Yeah, Montana State got the number 6 overall.
I just want to make sure. Well, when I was reading about the previews on this, so you got an unseeded going up against the 6th seed. NDSU, man, it's interesting. The Bison versus the Bobcats. I love the names of these teams, man. It's interesting to me. Yeah, like you mentioned, Drake. They beat the crap out of Drake. Like literally, Drake wasn't even there. Like literally, 66-3. I don't even know why he kicked the field goal. Just they probably should have just mailed that loss in.
Drake actually scored first. They scored that field goal on their opening possession, and
that was it.
Hey, like I said, does it really matter who scored first? Did they score after that? Probably not. No, but look, guys, this is the first meeting since the title game back in 2021, which, by the way, North Dakota State, like Dustin was saying, did win that last meeting. So I think the favorite is in North Dakota State. I don't think Montana's going to win this game. I think North Dakota State is going to win it. But I find it interesting, the interconnections between these two teams. And what I mean by that was, and Dustin, I'm not telling you something you don't already know, but Montana's head coach was the offensive coordinator for North Dakota State back in the day. And so it's kind of interesting how these guys are a little bit interconnected a little bit. Like you said, North Dakota State did not get a seed due to the 3 losses to the 2, I believe it was North Dakota teams and the South Dakota teams. So that's the reason why they were unseeded. But I got to tell you, man, Montana is coming off a defeat, or Montana State is coming off a defeat to Montana, 37-7. So my thing is, if NDSU won this the last go around, and they're coming off a drubbing, and then MSU is coming off a blowout loss to Montana, you got to think that North Dakota State is going to win this game. And I don't know how bad it's going to be. Maybe it's close, maybe it's not close, but you got to think that North Dakota is going to win this one.
Yeah, this is going to be, I think, a really solid game here. And like you said, I think if you don't know a whole lot about the FCS, like me and Jay do, we're kind of new to it. We don't watch a whole lot of it. I think this is, like Dustin's been telling us, a really good one to sit back this weekend and watch and just see what it's all about with 2 really solid teams. But for me, I'll go with the Bison getting the win in this one. I'll go final score. I'll go 28-17. Little medium scoring game. They're nothing too crazy. All right, let's see. Stack Guy, what'd you send us in the private chat here? Wait, never mind. We'll hold that off to the next show. All right. Speaking of that,
I do want to say one thing real quick. I'm really glad that Stat Guy is getting us into the FCS. Stat Guy, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I was a little reluctant to deal with the FCS, but you know what? I'm starting to kind of get into this a little bit. I am going to actually watch that game. And so thank you for opening up our horizons a little bit.
You guys are really going to have to do your homework this weekend, because after the conference championship week for the FBS this week, it's only going to be FCS next week.
Ooh.
It's going to be the FCS quarterfinals and the playoffs next week, so it'll be down to the final 8 teams. So we'll pretty much have to break down each one of those 4 games plus the Navy versus Army game.
All right. Well, hey, I'm looking forward to it, man. I think that's going to be really cool. And like I said, we'll shine some light on some we'll say some lesser known big name teams in certain regions.
Yeah, and the main reason why I'm trying to get not only you guys into it, but the listeners into it also is because of James Madison. James Madison came from the FCS, and all of a sudden they're in the FBS and are just destroying anything that moves for the most part. And
they got screwed over this bowl season, but that's a different story.
Hey, they're going bowling.
They're going bowling. Okay.
They got screwed out of the conference championship game, and now they at least get to go bowling.
That's like a consolation prize in a way. Oh well. Maybe they can fix their rules another year. All right, this is the big one here. This one has a ton of implications. The one that everyone is looking forward to. The historic rivalry gets another chapter with the Alabama Crimson Tide looking to knock off for the 3rd straight season undefeated Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC championship game. Jay McLovin, do you have an upset brewing here? Will Alabama win, or will Georgia continue their winning ways and make it 30 consecutive wins?
Yeah, me and Stag were talking about this the other day. In order for Texas, which is my team, in order for Texas to even have an opportunity to get into the championship play, I need Alabama to take out Georgia. Because like Stat Guy had pointed out, like we already know, Texas beat Alabama, so we have that over them. So I really need an Alabama win and a Georgia loss in order for Texas to be able to have a shot at getting into the playoffs. So I want to talk about one thing. You know, Milroe, back when when they played Texas, he didn't look too good, and they wound up going with the other guy. And I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but it doesn't matter. But they did bench Milroe, only to go back to Milroe, and Milroe since then has really stepped up his game, and his Alabama team has seemed to step up their game since back in the early part of the season when they played Texas. So this Alabama team, I think, is slowly starting to find their identity, and they're slowly starting to get behind Milroe as their quarterback. When you look at the guys stat-wise, right, Beck versus Milroe, they're pretty much almost the same in terms of touchdowns and interceptions. Now, the yardage is a little obviously different. Beck has almost 3,500, and Milroe has a little over 2,500. But like I said, it's one touchdown difference between the two of them, and they both got the same amount of turnovers. So I almost kind of put that out as a wash. But I will say this. I think Milroe has played a lot tougher competition than what Beck has played. So I do think his numbers are a little bit skewed, only because of the first part of that season and how soft it was. So I want us to keep that in mind. But when you go to the actual rushing part of the game, you got Edwards at 147 carries and 781 for 11 touchdowns to McLennan, who's got 166 for 803 yards. So honestly, Edwards is getting more yards per carry, and he's also getting more touchdowns by 5 because McClellan has 6 touchdowns. So I think that's really where the focal point of this game is going to be. It's going to be in that run game. Who can have the better run game and who can stop the run in terms of who's going to win this game? I don't think it's going to be through the air. I think it's going to be who has the better run game and whose defense is going to step up. Bowers is back, obviously, as you know, and he has a crap ton of yards. 51, not crap ton, I shouldn't say that, but he has 51, has 661, and 6 touchdowns. But Burton has 33 for 749 and 7 touchdowns. So Burton does have more yards and more touchdowns. But we also got to remember that Bowers was out for a couple of games. So we got to take that into consideration. But I think it's interesting. UGA is coming off a very close win. Georgia Tech, Logan, almost kind of took out Georgia at 31-23. I mean, it was a little bit closer game than what I would have liked. But at the same time, Bama almost lost to Auburn, and we know how bad Auburn is this year, and they only got it by a field goal. So neither one of these teams are coming off quote-unquote blowout games, which they should have been blowout games. So I think it's going to come down to this to wrap it up. In this SEC championship game, which is huge, it's going to come down to, can Alabama run the ball better than Georgia, and can Alabama's defense put pressure on Milroe? I think that's what it's going to come down to for Alabama to get this one. And also they have who could control the turnovers, who's going to have less turnovers. So those are the keys, I think, for Alabama to win. But you know how Georgia is.
I'm about to say, and what's your final score again?
Yeah, I'm going to go Alabama in this one. I want to go Alabama. I don't want to go against. I want to put the good vibes out there, the positivity. So I want to go out there with Alabama and Milroe, and I think it's going to be a high scoring game. Honestly, I think it's going to be 35. I think it's going to come down to one. I think it'll be a one possession game. So I'm going to go 35-28.
All right, Dustin, do you have a similar result, or will Georgia come out on top in this one and remain number 1?
Well, Jay, you're going to be happy with my prediction.
Oh boy!
But I think Alabama is going to end the Georgia reign this weekend, and it has nothing to do with Alabama being the better team, because I do think Georgia's the better team. But when you look at the landscape of how things have played out since these last two teams met, Alabama's just playing better football. And you can make a case that they did not play very well against Auburn last week, but it's the Iron Bowl. And we've seen so many strange things happen in the Iron Bowl that it gets to the point where one team could be 12-0, the other team could be 0-12, and that's kind of the typical Iron Bowl game that you're going to have, because that's just how those rivals are when they get together. Versus Georgia, they were playing very well against some very good competition late in the season, but they also haven't seen a team as skilled as Alabama top to bottom yet this year. And I think that alone is going to expose the Bulldogs a little bit, especially when it comes to Carson Beck, just because Carson Beck is not Stetson Bennett. Carson Beck isn't some of these quarterbacks that Georgia's had in the past. And yes, Georgia might have the best player on the field in Brock Bowers, but Alabama just, I think, has more depth and more talent than Georgia does at this point. I think Alabama goes and wins this game 28-21 to really shake up what this college football playoff might look like come the final vote in a couple weeks.
You know what's crazy with that is I never thought I would say this. In my whole life, I detested the phrase roll tide. I hated that phrase with every fiber of my body. But for the first time in my life, I'm actually saying roll tide.
Roll Tide.
And speaking of Roll Tide, our resident Alabama fan popping in, Frankie. First off, how are you doing? How's your Thanksgiving? Second off, I already know who you think is going to win just based on your profile picture. So give me your analysis and your final score for the SEC championship.
Well, thank you, Logan, for that special introduction. I had a really great Thanksgiving. I started work back in September. I lost some weight. Thanksgiving came around, and I gained all that weight back. So I gotta somehow, some way, find a way to get all that turkey out of my belly. But man, I'm excited for this game. I've been waiting for this matchup all year, and it just so happens it had to come down to the very most important game of all of college football. Not the college football playoff championship game, but the SEC the championship game, to where it'll basically determine, like Dustin just said, the top four and come playoff time. If Alabama wins, I can honestly say I can guarantee that Alabama will be in the top four. I'm not going to say they're going to be number one. In my opinion, I think Michigan should be number one. That's just in my opinion because of what they're doing, even without John Harbaugh. With Ohio State losing last week as well, I think that's going to take them out of the top four. So if Alabama could somehow, some way get this win over Georgia, I feel like this is going to put them into the top four. And I understand Jay's going to be upset about it because, Alabama does have a loss against Texas Longhorn. But at the end of the day, this voting thing, and we've been discussing it for years now, not just this year, not last year, but for years now, that this voting thing for the rankings of college football is just, it's out of hand. Mm-hmm. And now, lately, as I see it, and I see the commissioner of college football talking about it and stuff like that, they base their ratings on not just wins and losses, but like stats and everything else like that. But it's really weird if you guys break it down and stuff like that. But if Alabama could beat Georgia, who is the undefeated, 3 years in a row undefeated team in this very important moment of college football, Alabama can secure themselves into the top four of the playoffs. But I'm excited, man. I'm ready. Roll Tide, baby. Roll Tide. Let's get the elephants out. Let's just stomp on some bulldogs, right? Let's just do it. Let's show the world why we are still the best with Nick Saban.
Well, you can't be the best at Texas.
Thank you. All right. I knew it was coming.
What do you say? I didn't hear you. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I said you can't be the best when Texas beat you.
That is true.
Okay, well, there you go. There you go. We beat you.
But you know what? Yeah, you did beat us. But guess what, Jay? It happened in the beginning of the season with a new quarterback.
Oh, whatever. Okay, let's let that go.
All right.
He finally knows his position. He finally knows his stuff. He knows what he's doing. And look what he's been doing since then. He's been nothing but winning.
Next game.
Sir. Excuse me, sir. Last time Texas beat us, didn't you guys lose against who again?
Okay. All right. We'll table this there. We still got a few more games left. We'll table this. My thoughts. I'll be the odd man out here. I'll go with Georgia getting win number 30. Obviously, this is going to be a good game. It always is. Final score, I'll have it being close, 7-point ball game. I'll go Georgia. 35? Alabama 28. Good matchup. Looking forward to it. These two are always going to duke it out, and it's always going to be a fun matchup between two of the top coaches in college football. And so I'll go with Georgia getting win number 30 and moving on. All right, another big game here.
Don't hit me up if Alabama's losing.
I'm
saying it right now. Don't tag me.
No one go after Frankie in the group chats.
I'm saying
I'll be all over
I won't either. Don't you worry. All right, this will be a good game too here. Battle of two Heisman hopefuls, Washington, Oregon. We'll go Jay, kick things off. Who's winning this matchup here, my friend?
Yeah, this is a game. This is another big game. In order for Texas to get into that that top 4 spot. This is the next big game right here. Oregon needs to beat Washington. I need that to happen. And I tell you, man, you got Bo Nix going up against Penix. Oh, God, this is going to be good. Again, this is another Heisman game, right? 2 Heismans going at it for one of the biggest things, a Pac-12 championship, baby. So this is another big chance for Bo Nix to prove that he should have the Heisman, or for Penix to say that he deserves to have the Heisman. I mean, this really is that kind of game. You got 11-1 Oregon going against 12-0 Washington at rank number 4. So 4 versus 6, man. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, Logan. And I will tell you, this is another game where Penix and Nix are not that far off from each other. I mean, the yardage is damn near the same. You got 37 and 2 interceptions for Nix versus 32 and 8 interception for Penix. So if you want to say one thing about Penix, he does have more turnovers than Bo Nix does. So I will give that slight edge to Penix. Irving versus Johnson. Jeez, man, this is a huge disparity there because you got Irving who's getting more yards per carry, but you have Johnson who has 2 more extra touchdowns. So these guys are high running. 10 touchdowns for Irving, 12 for Johnson. So these guys are going through the air. These guys are going on the ground. It's such an evenly matched game. It's incredible. Even when you look at the receivers, these guys are evenly matched. I mean, it's 13-49 for Franklin with 14 touchdowns to 73 and 13, 26 and 13 touchdowns. I mean, we're talking 1 touchdown. I mean, it's crazy how very, very evenly matched this game really, truly is. And I can see why it's a Pac-12 championship. Oregon is coming off a blowout win over Oregon State, 31-7, and Washington is coming off a close win over Washington State, 24-21. So for that reason, I think it's going to be Oregon, and I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a well thought out game. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I'm going to go 42-30 in favor of Oregon.
High scoring game there. Dustin, do you have a similar result? Dustin?
Yes. All I can say is what a way for the Pac-12 conference to go out. This is the kind of the rematch that everyone's been waiting for. And this is no disrespect to Georgia, to Alabama, to Michigan, to any of these teams that play college football. Since that loss that Oregon suffered against Washington, this is the best team in the country. They are playing like the best team in the country. Their quarterback, Bo Nix, is playing like the best player in the country. And what he's done this past month is probably going to put him as the Heisman favorite, even though I think the winner of this game is going to win the Heisman. That doesn't mean that Nix or Michael Penix deserve the Heisman, because in my opinion, as much as I've been backing Michael Penix Jr. for the Heisman this year, I think Jaden Daniels deserves it after what Jaden Daniels was able to accomplish this year for LSU. But with LSU having 3 losses and only having 3 Heisman Trophy winners in college football history that have 3 losses, I think Jaden Daniels is going to be the odd man out. So the winner of this game, to me, is going to get the Heisman one way or another.
Yeah.
But this Oregon team, the way they have been playing since Washington beat them 36-33 is scary. Mm-hmm. They are putting up 45, 50 points per game. They're allowing fewer than 20 points. Bo Nix goes out and throws 5 touchdown passes in what seems like the first half of every single one of these games, and he's doing it with relative ease. If I'm any team, whether it's Georgia, whether it's Michigan, whether it's anybody that has a chance to make the college football playoff, I do not want to see this Oregon Ducks team. I know Oregon's upset that they lost to Washington the first time. Dan Lanning took the blame for that loss for some of the play calls that he made. And I think Oregon goes out there and continues to do what they've done the past month. I think Oregon wins this game 45-17. I think they're going to go out winning away. I think they're going to take Washington out of the college football playoff. And I think Oregon's going to put themselves in as the number 3 seed by just romping Washington.
All right. Frankie, who's taking the win in this one, my friend?
Yeah, I agree with both Jay and what Dustin has said. I mean, Oregon has literally turned their season around. I mean, this is a team that lost to Washington early on in the season, and since then they just dominated the Pac-12 like it's nothing. Like they're just sweeping by these teams that they're playing like it's nothing. Now, on the other hand, You got Penix, who's a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback. He's having an amazing year. And I mean, we never thought that Washington would be in the top 4, but he's having an amazing year. Last week against Washington State, he didn't look as good as we thought he truly did. I don't know if it's because Washington State is used to always playing against Washington, so their defense knew what to do. I don't know if it was a coaching thing. I don't know if it was just Penix not having a good game, but he got the W and he got himself into this matchup with Oregon. But I just like Oregon for some reason. For some odd reason, I like what Oregon is doing. But what's on my mind is this is championship weekend. This is championship weekend.
True.
Both quarterbacks have in their mindset right now that there's going to be NFL scouts in the stands. They're going to ball out just so that they can get these NFL scouts to look at them and say, oh, wow, maybe we can draft this person. Let's not forget the first top 5 of the draft picks. You got teams that need quarterbacks badly. You got the Bears, you got the Cardinals, you got the Patriots, and you got the Giants. Obviously, the Bears got 2, they got the first and the fourth. But, in the top 5, you got those 5 teams that need a quarterback or 4 teams that need a quarterback really bad. So I think that both these quarterbacks are going to show out in this playoff or in this championship game. But I'm going to give my final win just to Oregon because I like what Oregon has been doing defensively. I think defensively they're going to stop Penix. They're going to stop Washington. And I think it's going to be a high-scoring game for Oregon, not for Washington. I'm going to go final score, Oregon 52, Washington 21.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think you guys have really done a good job at breaking this down. Obviously, we know the battle of the Heisman hopefuls with Penix and with Bo Nix. Frankie brought up a great point. There's going to be tons of scouts for pretty much every team in here watching this football game. And the final, this is a bittersweet end to the Pac-12 as a lot of teams are moving on to other conferences next year. Of course, we get the 12-team playoff format next year also. So things are going to be shaking up for college football. And I think this would be a heck of a game to go out on. For me, I'll go with Oregon getting the win in this one. I also think it's going to be high scoring. I'll go with the Oregon Ducks, final score of 42. And I'll go Washington getting 37. I want to see a lot of points. I want to see some good quarterback play from both these teams. And I'm just looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a great game. All right. In a kind of an underrated game, we got Michigan taking on Iowa. Iowa, their offense is, let's just be real, it's not good. Their defense, though, is tremendous. And then you have Michigan, who is just pretty much obliterating team after team after team, beat the Ohio State this past week, as we know, in a big win there. Didn't even need their head coach on the sideline to do it. So Michigan is rolling. Iowa, they've taken care of business. There's a reason they're in this game. They've won the game if they need to. Not in pretty fashion, but they've won them. So, Dustin, I'll let you start things off here. Is this just going to be a blowout, or do you think Iowa is going to surprise some people, maybe get the shocking win, or if not, make it a close game?
It's going to be a blowout, but not kind of in the blowout fashion that people tend to think about.
Okay, explain.
I think it's going to be a 21-0 type of game, mainly because Iowa can't score. No. And Michigan's defense really doesn't give up many points themselves. So when you have an offense that can't score going up against a defense that typically doesn't give up a lot of points, the end result is not going to be pretty. Versus Michigan, yes, Iowa's defense is very good, and I think they're number 2 in the Big Ten in terms of total defense behind Michigan. But at least Michigan can score because they put up 30 points on a very good Ohio State defense, and they put up 27 points against a very good Penn State defense. So they can at least score enough points to win this game, and they're not going to need to put up 35, 40 points. 20 points for them in this game is going to be more than enough just because this is probably not going to be accurate, but I'm not going to be surprised if Iowa does not have 150 yards. They just can't move the ball. And Logan, I was at the Wisconsin Badger Iowa game.
Oh, you were. You saw punting.
When the punter for Iowa had 589 yards punting. And the Iowa offense had 176 yards of offense, and 87 came on their touchdown.
That's the MVP.
Can you say that again?
Yards
Can you say that again?
76 yards came on a touchdown.
Say that again with the kicker. Can I hear that stat again?
How many punting yards do you have?
The punter for the Iowa-Wisconsin game had 10 punts for 589 yards.
Good
Oh my
Lord.
God, that is a first-round draft pick right
Yeah,
there.
I'm about to say, hey, that'll get him a first round pick
He's
right there.
averaging.
my
He's
God.
got almost. I think he's got 93 punts this year. So
That
he has
is
a chance to hit
insane.
100 punts this year, and he's averaging 54.9 yards per punt, and he's
He
got
can
2
bomb
punts.
it though.
He's got only 2 punts.
Seriously, if you punt that 10 times and get over 500 yards, you got
That's
a leg.
mad impressive.
Yeah, so I mean, he might be the MVP of this game because
Yeah.
Iowa might have to be forced to pin Michigan back at the 20 every drive, but Michigan will still go 75, 80 yards every time they need
Yeah.
to.
Okay.
I think the biggest storyline to me though is going to be the head coach. And honestly, I think what Sherman Moore has done in the 4 games that he's coached without Harbaugh, going 3-0 so far, or 4-0 now, this is going to be 5-0. At what point do you just tell Jim Harbaugh to go away? You have an assistant coach here that, honestly, the team has played well with him. They've beaten better teams than what Jim Harbaugh has beaten this year because Moore has beaten Penn State and Ohio State, 2 teams that Jim Harbaugh hasn't faced this year. At what point do you just tell Jim Harbaugh, you're too much of a distraction? We're going to give this program to Moore and let Moore run it going forward, because if Michigan doesn't give Moore the job and he wins this Big Ten championship, somebody else is going to pay big money for Moore this offseason to go coach another program, and that would be a huge loss for Michigan, but I'm going to go 21-0.
All right. Frankie, do you have a similar result?
I mean, I'm gonna obviously go with Michigan,
Mhm.
just because I've watched more Michigan games than I do Iowa. I don't know, it's because my area that they don't want to show Iowa, they'd rather show Michigan because of what they're doing. I don't know, but I'm gonna go Michigan on this one just because I've seen what they're doing. I've seen what they did last week against Ohio State. But then again, let's not forget they're in this spot, and I'm gonna say it because I want the heat. They're in this
Okay.
spot because they cheated. They cheated. They're cheaters. The Spygate 2.0. That's why they're in this spot. They know what Iowa's already going to bring before they're going to bring it. So I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, Michigan is going to blow out Iowa." They're going to do it because they already know it. They cheated. They know their plays. Go ahead, Michigan. Do you? I'm not mad about it. Hell, we did it in 07. Michigan going to win.
He said, and I admit it. Oh, all right. Well, Jay, who's winning this one? Are you also going to go with the Michigan, make it 3-0 on the panel?
Yeah. I don't have a lot to say on this one. I will just tell you this. Hill has 6 interceptions and 5 touchdowns for Iowa. That just tells you everything you need to know about Iowa. But I will say this, the one bright spot, like the stat guy pointed out for Iowa, is they do have a hell of a defense. I mean, literally, they've only given up 40 points in 5 games. 40 points in 5 games. That averages out to 8 points a game. So, yeah, man, you got a great defense, but your offense is just horrible. And we all know Michigan has a good defense. They also have a great offense. And so, yeah, it's going to be Michigan winning this game. It's going to be a blowout game. I just want to say, first of all, Harbaugh ain't going nowhere unless he chooses to go somewhere. If Harbaugh wants to go to the NFL, it's on his choice. But even if he doesn't go to the NFL and he stays, they're not firing Harbaugh. He's too much of a money man. He's too much of he's the Nick Saban. He's the guy that has all the notoriety. He has a name. And the other guy, yeah, he probably will go and coach somewhere else. But it's not going to be with Michigan if Harbaugh decides he wants to stay. That ain't going to happen. But at the end of the day, Michigan, I'm going to say it's going to be 42, and I'm being conservative here, 42-10.
All right. High scoring affair for Iowa there, Jay. Look at you. For me, look, I got to go Michigan, give them the clean sweep. I knew whenever last week when it was on Friday, it was very odd watching football on a Friday afternoon at like 1 o'clock when Iowa and Nebraska was playing, that the over-under in that game was only 24.5, which is one of the lowest in college football history. You knew this team couldn't do nothing on offense. They won that game
13-10.
13-10, so they went under. But yeah, no, I'm gonna have that sentiment of yes, Michigan will win this game dominantly. I don't think they're gonna put up a whole. I think they're gonna win, but I don't think they're gonna blow them out like 50-0. I'll go Michigan getting the dominant win by Frankie's favorite score of 28-3.
I will say this though. The thing that kind of makes me a little bit upset about this game
Yeah.
Michigan's former quarterback, Cade McNamara,
Oh,
was Iowa's starter the first 3 games of the year. And
yeah.
granted, their offense wasn't great then, but they were at least scoring 24 points per game. It would have been really interesting to see what this game would have been if McNamara was healthy.
Yeah, it would have definitely had some more intrigue behind it, a little bit more hype potentially. But unfortunately, that's just the way it happens sometimes. All right, final game here. Going to the ACC now with the Florida State Seminoles without Jordan Travis, as we know, taking on the Louisville Cardinals. Jay McLovin, kick things off. Who's taking this one?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say the Louisville Cardinals mascot on their helmet is anatomically incorrect. I've never seen a bird that had teeth. But anyway.
What?
Hey, Jay.
I'm sorry.
With that fact, hey, well, will the bird with teeth win, or will the?
I'm sorry. I had to say that because I just noticed it just now and it popped in my head. I apologize. You got FSU going up against Louisville in the ACC championship. You know, obviously FSU. In my opinion, FSU is going to win this game. They're 12-0, going up against 10-2 Louisville. But here's where I struggle with this, Logan. Travis is out this game. He's got coming back. And Ridmaker, however you want to say that, Roadmaker, I think it's Roadmaker. He's got 510 yards, but he's got 5 touchdowns. But he doesn't have any interceptions. And that's the one thing I hold on to, is the fact that this man has not turned over the ball. Plummer's turned over the ball 11 times. He's had 11 interceptions, but he's also had 21 touchdowns. But those 11 interceptions, that weighs big in my heart. You look at Jordan on the running back side for Louisville. He's got 1,076 on 167 carries, 13 touchdowns. But geez Louise, man. And he's getting more yards per carry. I apologize. Benson's getting more yards per carry at 138 and 838, but Benson has one more touchdown. I think the running backs are going to cancel themselves out. So I don't think you can talk about Thrash versus Coleman, and I think Coleman is a little bit better wideout because he has like 5 more touchdowns. But I just think this is going to come down to quarterbacks, and I think Rodemaker is going to be good enough to beat Louisville. Louisville is coming off, a loss to Kentucky? 38-31? Yeah, whatever. FSU is coming off a narrow win, though, over Florida at 24-15. But this is Florida. And Florida and Florida State always play each other extremely hard. So I got to give that one, the edge to that one, obviously, to FSU. And that was Rodemaker in that game. So I'm going to give the win to FSU. It could be a close game. It could be a blowout. It just really depends on whose defense is better. But I think FSU gets the win in this. And I'm going to go 28-13 in favor of FSU.
All right. Dustin, who's taking this one?
Had Louisville not crapped the bed against Kentucky last weekend, I think this game would have a lot more intrigue to it because you'd have a Louisville team with an outside shot to make the college football playoff or at least get in the conversation had they won that game. But now it's just they win the ACC. It is what it is. But not having Jordan Travis, I think, is going to be bigger in this game than what people realize because you look at how much Florida State struggled last week against Florida. And Louisville is a much better team than what Florida is, especially offensively. If they struggle offensively against Louisville's going to make them pay for that, unlike Florida. And I do think Louisville pulls the upset on this one. I think Louisville wins it 24-20, which is going to create, with the Alabama win against Georgia, it's going to open up 2 spots in that college football playoff for 2 new teams to sneak in there.
All right. Frankie, who's winning this one, my friend?
Oh man, I would have picked Florida State. I would have picked Florida State. No lie about it. I would have picked Florida State, but they lost their quarterback. Mm-hmm. Louisville just lost to Kentucky on a head scratcher. On what? Like when Jay just said birds have no teeth, and then Logan's looking it up. I'm over here right. Like what? And he is right. He's totally right. Birds don't have teeth. Birds don't have teeth. Now the fact that I see that this Louisville mascot has teeth, it pisses me off. Now I'm going to have to go Florida State. Now I have no choice but to go Florida State because whoever made this Louisville Cardinal head with teeth needs to be fired because clearly he doesn't know his birds and Jay do. Jay, you are hired as a new Louisville designer for that team. We need to get you in there. We need to fix this up. Louisville, you're going to go down. Florida State wins. They go on undefeated. I think they do make it into the top 4. I do think that they're number 5, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think they're number 5 right now with Oregon at 6, Texas at 7, and Alabama at 8. But if they win this game, I do think that they'll go in the top 4. It's all a matter of that quarterback that they have over there. They don't have their starter, but that quarterback over there needs to continue what he's doing and turn it around for them and get this win and secure a spot for the SFP. It's going to be a really good game to watch. I know some people are like, oh, what's Florida State versus Louisville? Florida State has an easy advantage. No, don't think that. Florida State would have had an easy advantage if that starting quarterback was playing. Now he's not playing, so it's more of an even favor for both teams. It's insane. By the way, before we Logan gets onto this, Jay, I love your, Jay, you're my boy. You're my Southern boy. That accent, I love the accent so much. Every time you say that quarterback's name in Louisville, it reminds me of Joe Dirt. That's why your mommy is Joe Dirt and not Nutmaker. It's amazing. I love it. I swear, you said his name, and all I was thinking about was, wow, he sounds like that fucking girl from Joe Dirt. Excuse my language. He sounds like that girl from Joe Dirt.
And just so we can all see what the Louisville Cardinal mascot looks like.
Their mascot is freaking epic. I
have a through the years photo. So here it is. Oh, hold on.
I love their mascot. I don't know why you guys are hating on it.
Oh, why is it not pulling up? Oh,
we're not hating on the mascot, Dustin. We're hating on the logo.
Give me a minute. I'll get it figured out here. I apologize. I'll get this figured out one way or another. But I'll give my analysis on this game while I also multitask here. Yeah, it's a shame, that Jordan Travis is out for this ball game because that would have made things a lot more fun, a lot more interesting. Also, I realize this, guys. Louisville is looking for their first ever ACC title. They haven't won it.
Well, they won it back when they were still in the Big East.
Yes.
Back in the American before they switched over to the ACC. Yeah.
Correct. But like I said, they've been here since 2013, I believe.
2013, 2014.
Yeah, so
this is their second ACC championship. The last one was with Lamar Jackson.
Good old Lamar. That was the good days for Louisville. Except for the mascot. But
blew the doors off of them.
Yep, that is also very true. But yeah, I just I don't know. I mean, Florida State, if they had Jordan Travis, I feel like I don't know. I feel like they've just gotten a bad shake. Obviously they haven't lost a game, and it's really tough, right? This is where they definitely would have benefited from the 12-team playoff coming in a year early, because there's no doubt Florida State would have been in there. So with that being said, I'll go FSU getting the win in this one, beating up on the Cardinal as they should. I'll go final score here, and I do have it somewhere, I believe. I'll go final score. I'll go with Florida State taking the W. I'll be nice. I'll go 27 for Florida State, and for the Louisville Cardinals, I will go with I'll go 17.
That's too nice.
That's too nice. All right, 14. Is that better? 28-14.
I would have gave him 10, but you're different. You could go ahead and give him 14. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go 28-14. And here it is, folks, as promised, the Louisville Cardinal through the years.
Oh my God, I look like a turkey in the front.
Looks like something from Wallace and Gromit.
The thing that really irritates me, but the thing that's really kind of heartbreaking about this Jordan Travis situation right now, he might end up having the same thing happen to Hendon Hooker.
Oh, you're right.
Hendon Hooker was a guaranteed first-round pick last year, tears his ACL midseason, and falls to the third round. Jordan Travis is probably going to have a similar situation because there's no way Jordan Travis plays next year. Yeah. So who's going to want to draft him on that fifth-year option, knowing that he's probably not going to play next year, and depending on who drafts him, he may even sit longer than that.
Yeah, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Hendon is just now. 11, 12 weeks.
He's been throwing. He's been throwing for a while, but he's just now cleared to take contact.
Yeah.
Can I just ask why has this Cardinal went from being happy to mad?
You're right. There was a shift there.
They were mad that they were in the Big East, and now they're happy that they're in the ACC.
And also,
look, I'm just trying to say, if I would have designed this logo, I would have had a tongue instead of teeth because they have tongues. Birds have tongues, but they don't have teeth. So put a tongue in there. If you want to have the beak opened up like that, that's fine. Put a tongue in there. Be anatomically correct. Get your act together. How are you at university and you don't know that birds don't have some damn teeth?
And with that being said, we appreciate all of you for tuning in to the show here this afternoon. Jay McLovin, our resident bird watcher, as always, Dustin Reese, and Frankie C. Appreciate y'all as always coming on talking some college football. Hope you guys enjoyed your Thanksgiving. I will talk to you guys again on another episode of Unscripted here on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network.